Shalom Aleichem and welcome to Online Smicha. In this week's Parsha, Parshas Tetzaveh, it speaks a lot about the big day kahuna. The kohanim, the garments that they wear, the kohen gadol, the garments that he wears. Now the Gemara says in Masechta Zvachim, Daf Peiches Amud Beis, the Gemara says, Lama nismacha Parshas Karbonos leParshas big day kahuna. Why in the Torah does the Parsha that talks about the Karbonos go right after the Parsha of the big day kahuna? Loi malacha. It's here to teach you a lesson. Ma karbonos mechaprim. Just like, of course, when a person brings a carbon, it's a kapara for the person who brings a carbon. It's an atonement. Big day kahuna mechaprim. So too, the garments that the kohanim wear, the kohen gadol wears, is a kapara for Am Yisrael. Every beged symbolizes another kapara, atonement for another avera. So today we'll talk about one or two of the begadim. The Gemara says in Yerushalmi that choishen, the beged, the choishen, hayamechaper al ivui hadin, al matei hadin. That for the corruption of the dayanim, that they don't judge honestly. That's what the choishen symbolized, a kapara for that big avera. Where else? What other beged? The ephod. The Gemara says the ephod was mechaper on avodah zarah. Now it's interesting about these two, avodah zarah and ivui hadin, because there is one description in the Torah about these two begadim, the beged of the ephod and the beged of the choishen, that by both of them it says Maisei Choshev. Maisei Choshev translated, it has to be woven, but it's a very uncommon word, Choshev. Choshev means machshava. How does machshava fit in here, specifically by these two averas? So the answer is clear, that we know that avodah zarah is perhaps the only avera that the Gemara tells us that you don't even have to do the act to transgress the Isser. You don't have to do the Maisa, the worshipping idols, Rahman al-Islam. Avodah Zarah is the only one that machshava is kemaisa. Thinking and having your thoughts about Avodah Zarah is already considered a evil act, is already an avera. The same is by ivui hadin. The same is by those judges who are corrupt. If you ask them, or you go over them, this is not right how you say, how you judge the case, he's going to say, I saw all the evidence, and based on what the evidence I saw, this is how my seichel leads me to think. I'm not corrupt. Now, who knows if he's corrupt or not? The machshava, deep down, what made him come to that conclusion, it's only between him and God. He could play good and say, everything, I just followed the rule book. But deep down, it's up to his judgment call to come to a conclusion. Machshava. So specifically by these two averas, by these two wrongdoings, machshava, maisei choshev, is very, very important. Now, so yet we see that the choishen was mechaper specifically on ivui hadin, mati hadin, for corrupt judgment. What's the connection specifically to the choishen? It must be that by looking at the choishen, it somehow teaches the person not to be corrupt. So let's analyze this a second. There are many reasons. I mean, a judge should be fair. But there are different reasons what causes a judge to be corrupt. And basically there are four reasons. One reason is there are the two parties, the two balei dinim in front of him. One is a simpleton, and one is a honorable person, a wealthy person. So his way of thinking, he leans automatically to try to favor the rich person, the honorable person. The other guy doesn't really have a chance. That's one reason to be corrupt. Another reason to be corrupt, the judge pashut afraid. One of the two parties, the Toyin or the Nitnan, is a bully, and he's afraid to go against him. The third reason is why a person might be corrupt. The judge said, don't bother me with these petty stuff. I only deal with $1 million cases. $100 case, forget it, guilty, not guilty. He doesn't even give a thought, of the value of the small din pruta kedin meya, and he'll say guilty, not guilty on the small stuff just to get it out of his court. And the last thing, what makes a person be corrupt, is because he misjudges. He thinks he's above his pay grade. He thinks he can handle every case, and really, excuse me, it's not. It's way above you. All four of these things, you can look into the choshen, and the choshen will teach you how to stay away from it. Number one, the Torah says, you're not allowed to show favoritism. You're not allowed to be corrupt by leaning towards one person. Hi, how are you? There's a whole simon in Shulchan Aruch how the dayan has to show equal rights to both. When you look at the choshen, you see that. How do you see that? The 12 Shvatim's names were mentioned in the choshen. And by the 12 Shvatim's names were mentioned in the choshen, it says clearly, Ketoil Doisam. Don't show who was the most powerful first, the greatest, the kings first, as they were born. And the Seder as they were born. Now the nature of parents are, when a child is born, everybody's happy, because potential of this kid could be the best and the shensta. What's going to be in 50 years from now, I don't know. We don't know. But at the start in Kitol Doisam, when a child is born, everybody is equal. So the dayan has to look at the two parties standing in front of him, Kitol Doisam, number one. Number two, as I mentioned before, you are afraid of the bully? Excuse me, don't you remember? You're not allowed to be overwhelmed or afraid by somebody. God is the one that judges. The Choshen Mishpat had the name of Hashem in there. Remember, Hamishpat Leilekim. Then the third thing we mentioned, that the person doesn't care about the value of the small stuff. Oh, I'm the $1 million case dayan. Guess what? The stones in the Choshen, we know that there were very expensive ones and nice ones and beautiful ones. There was a combination of expensive ones and very simple ones. That teaches the dayan that in the same choshen, you need to take care of the rich as you take care of the poor as the rich. Don't show any favoritism. And last but not least, when a person goes above his pay grade and takes upon himself cases that he really doesn't understand. Oh, I can figure this all out. Remember that in the choshen was the Urim v'Tumim. Sometimes you have to know that you don't know the answer, and you have to go to Hashem. All these lessons you could see in the Choshen Mishpat, and that is taka the reason why the Choshen not only is mechaper after the fact for Ivui Adin, it actually teaches the dayan how to stay away from Ivui Adin.